Easter is coming, and the next 2 or 3 projects will have Easter themes. Today, I'll show you how to make the Happy Easter puzzle, applying the pattern to the finished project. Let's get started. I found a piece of 4/4 poplar that was left from another project. It was a little bit long, but I can save the scrap left over for another project. I had some oak that was a little wider than what I needed, so I cut a piece to the length I wanted for the project. After trimming the patterns, they need to be attached to the wood for cutting. I'll give a link to my video showing 9 different ways to attach patterns to wood, and this time I'm going to use clear shelf liner. It's readily available at stores that sell housewares, and you can find it on Amazon as well. You just cut it to size, put the adhesive side against the wood, then use the spray adhesive on the back of the pattern to attach it to the shelf liner. This is going to require some pilot holes for inside these letters HAPP. Well, you can see. So I'm going to drill them. You can use a hand drill for the pilot holes, but since I have a drill press, I'll use it. I already had a 1/8 inch drill bit in the machine, which was larger than needed, but it fit within the spaces I needed to drill, and so I went ahead and used it. You'll need pilot holes for the inside cuts on some of the letters, but not for the large waste piece in the middle. That will get done as you cut the individual letters. Hang on the scroll saw. This is 3/4 inch thick red oak, and my rule of thumb calls for a number 9 blade for this project. I'll leave a link to my video on how to determine what size blade to use in case you haven't already seen it. This is a number 9 Pegasus modified geometry blade. You should always make the inside cuts first, and on this project it doesn't matter the order in which you cut them. A couple of the advantages of the Pegasus scroll saw show while I'm making these inside cuts. The first is that you tighten the blade holder with only a thumb screw. No tools are needed. The second is that the arm holds in place while you're threading the blade through the pilot hole. You just move it back into place when you're done. None of these interior cuts are difficult, so even a beginner on the scroll saw should be able to make this project. I started cutting letters at the most logical place, the top of the letter H. Then I had to determine how to proceed. I could have cut all the way around the outside first or cut one letter at a time. I decided either way would work fine, so I made the long cut all along the outside of the letters. When you get to the part where you're cutting individual letters, there are a couple of precautions to keep in mind. These letters are going to be connected like puzzle pieces, so cutting here has to be very careful. Blade has to be at a perfect 90-degree angle to the table, and you have to make sure you don't put too much pressure on the blade. If you do, the blade is likely to flex, and that can result in the cut being off from 90 degrees as well. If either of these things occurs, the pieces may fit together in one direction but not the other. You want the pieces to go together whether they're put in from the top or the bottom. Another trick to know here is that if you want a fairly snug fit for the puzzle pieces, you should switch to a smaller blade size. The smaller the blade size, the tighter the fit. You might want to play around with this on some scrap wood to see how it works for you. I tested the letter A to make sure it slid in from either side, and it did. That tells me the table was at 90 degrees and I wasn't causing the blade to flex by using too much pressure, so I knew I could continue cutting as I had been and the project would turn out all right. The rest is just a matter of following the lines and cutting out one letter at a time. The middle waste piece is taken care of as you do this. Once you're done cutting, you'll need to do a little bit of sanding, and then the piece is ready for a finish. I used a couple coats of spray polyurethane. These are the completed Happy Easter puzzles. The one on the left was made from poplar, and I left it unfinished. This way someone could paint it, perhaps several different pastel colors. The one on the right is red oak with a polyurethane finish. I would appreciate and will respond to any comments. Please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you have not already done so.